One of the things the Brewers have been able to do over the last couple of seasons, win division titles, go to the playoffs while developing players, they're younger players. This year, they're under the 500 mark. Some of these players are taking advantage of an opportunity. Some aren't. There's a major opportunity on this team for some of these guys to earn their bones, and they're not doing it. We'll get to who is and who's not, all that and more coming up on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, it's a great situation to be in when you don't have to go full out rebuild. Not that the Brewers are, but they're playing some younger guys. The Freeliks and Strangs, they've come up in the last few years, and they've been able to contribute to the Brewers' success. And that's a great situation to be in, to still win games and develop your younger players and let them get major league mature. Some of these players are doing well and taking advantage of their opportunity. Others who might be on their last leg as a major leaguer are not taking advantage of that opportunity. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, longtime sportscaster here in the great state of Wisconsin and proud host of Locked On Brewers. All right. I put together a little list today of players who aren't taking advantage and players who are taking advantage of opportunities. And yeah, some of these guys are looking at their last shots or one of their last shots, because sooner or later, some of these guys, their opportunity runs out. Personnel will look at a guy when he gets into his upper 20s or even in the mid 20s, and they'll say, what are we doing here with this guy? Is this guy really making it? Is this guy really going to contribute to our team in the future? And some of these guys, man, are given an ample amount of opportunity right now to show that they belong in the major leagues. And I've seen this in my years of covering the Milwaukee Brewers. Some guys take advantage. Some aren't. Some we just figure out are simply just not good enough to be on the major league level. And I think that's what we're trying to determine with some of these guys here. I'm going to start with Quinn Priester, who I think in the last three starts has kind of leveled off a little bit in a good way. He's gone 5 innings. He gave up, some runs. He gave 3 runs last night, but 2 of those were runners that Nick Mears inherited when he gave the tying 3-run homer to Cedric Mullins. But he allowed 3. His line was 3 runs, pitching into the 6th inning. His previous 2 starts, 5 innings, 1 earned run. Now, 30 years ago, you'd be saying, wow, come on, this guy can't go by the 5th inning, but this is the standard now. So Priester, I think, is who's got an opportunity right now, because in other teams, the guy might be in the minor leagues. All right. But he's got an opportunity with all the injuries and all that in this starting rotation to stay here and to prove he belongs. And he's starting to. He might not even be ready at this point. I'm on the borderline whether or not Quinn Priester is a major league pitcher right now. But again, the last 3 starts, he's been all right. Nick Mears has got an opportunity to show that he's been one of their best. He has been their best reliever. Let's face it. And he's got an opportunity right now in a different way, not only to show you that he belongs, but that he can be a guy who could really, really count on. Yeah, he was with Colorado. He was going nowhere with the Rockies. The Brewers saw something in this guy, brought him over in a trade last year, in a trade that kind of flew under the radar. He made the postseason roster, and that shows the Brewers think a lot of this guy. And he's having a real good year. Now, he gave the 3-run home run last night, but these guys aren't going to be perfect. So Nick Mears, he has an opportunity in a different sense where his opportunity is to earn his way as a 8th inning guy, maybe a 9th inning guy down the road, a closer. I don't know, but he's kind of segueing out of a middle relief job and earning a lot of trust from the Milwaukee Brewers. And like I said, that said a lot about him when they put him on the postseason roster last year. Chad Patrick, another guy who did not make the major league roster He went 14-1 in the minors. And normally you would think, a guy who's 14-1 does what he did in the minors last year, he's going to make the major league roster. And he didn't. He did not make the only reason why he's on this roster is because of the injuries in the starting rotation. The Ashbys, the D.L. Halls, and Woodruff starting the year on the injured list. And, Savale, all that. And Patrick, I think, has made the most of it so far. He is a guy who's taken advantage of his opportunity. All right. He probably wouldn't be on this roster. He would not be in this rotation if everybody, Cortez as well, were healthy. He would not be here. But I think Chad Patrick right now is earning some trust. He pitches in this, I believe he pitches Wednesday against the Orioles. So Chad Patrick is a guy who's making the most of his opportunity, I think. He's really, I think he is. I like him. I really like him. Now, Logan Henderson, and this gets me to another point. A couple of these guys, I feel like they're upper echelon guys like Logan Henderson, who I think they have a bright future. We think they have he's got a bright future, right? He's made 2 good starts so far. But I don't feel like the Brewers feel like Logan Henderson's time is here right now. He's pitched 2 outings, but I feel like he's here for a short time, not a long time. And then when some of these other guys, like the Ashbys and D.L. Halls come back, and of course, Woodruff, some of these guys they got invested into, when those guys make it back, Henderson's back in the minor leagues. Normally, I say, if you're pitching well, like Tobias Myers did last year, you're going to stick with the roster for a little bit. I don't feel that way with Henderson for some reason. I don't feel that way with Henderson. But Henderson's made 2 starts. He makes another one tonight against the Orioles. But I don't know how you could send this guy down. They talked about, again, he made the terrific start a few weeks ago against the A's on a Sunday afternoon. He struck out 9, and he was sent down to the minors the next day. And it's like, what was that about? And he's come up again, and he's pitched well in his next start. And let's see how he does tonight. But I have a feeling that Henderson, I don't see why not. I feel like it becomes a numbers issue with Henderson if he's not going to stick around. A numbers issue because of the Ashbys and the Halls and the Savale. Savale, who's appears to be close. He's got another minor league start today. A numbers issue with Henderson. Another guy, Tobias Myers. I don't know I've talked about him before. I don't know what's going on with Tobias Myers, but there's an opportunity for him, obviously, but there's a short leash with him. Tobias better come up here and produce, it feels like. And if you're not producing, they see something in Myers. Well, he didn't pitch well Saturday night. Did not pitch well Saturday night, and that didn't help his cause at all. But the margin of error very thin with him because they see something that just simply is not right with Tobias Myers. And he came up last year and he stuck around, came up in May, stuck around, pitcher of the year. But Tobias has got his opportunity, although like I said, the rope seems short with some guys, a little bit longer with other guys. Caleb Durbin. God, there's nobody on this team who's got a bigger opportunity right now than Caleb Durbin, and maybe he's just not major league level. He's batting 174. He's got no homers, or he's got 1 homer, and that was early in the season. I believe it was the first game of the season. Our friend Jack Stern wrote a piece on him today, Brewer Fanatic, and talked about Durbin's basically his weak contact, stuff like that. Good piece, really good piece. Now the question is with Durbin, the opportunity, he's snapped out of an 0-for-24 slump with a base hit in his first at bat on Monday. Had a little meeting with Pat Murphy recently, talking about mechanics at the plate and all that. But Jack Stern was talking about in his piece, mentioned that the hard hit rate was in the lower 25% right now. Lower 25%. That's not good. That's soft contact, warning track, fly balls type of thing. So, but Caleb Durbin, whose defense is suspect over at third base, I think if the Brewers do have a future for him, and again, he's getting a chance to play every day. When he got called up after the Oliver Dunn / Vinny Capra experiment did not work over at third base, Murphy said, Durbin, you're our guy. He's our everyday third baseman. And what an opportunity to have. You don't get those opportunities a lot, especially on a team that's going to contend, or we think is going to still contend. I'm counting on them to stick around here and contending. I'm not ready for the sell-off BS. But Durbin, but maybe, again, some of these guys, it's an opportunity, but maybe Durbin's not good enough to be on this roster. Again, the other rosters, he might be in the minor leagues at this point. He's batting 174 and playing every day. Batting 174 and playing every day. Getting a golden opportunity, and they're giving him a good sense of whether or not they feel that, he could be a long-term solution, probably at second base. I've said this before. I think Durbin's future is probably at second base on this team, and Terang is going to move to short, which leads me to Ortiz. Ortiz has yet to prove to me, other than a month of the season last year, that he's an everyday player. And night in, night out, he's going out there. I'm looking at your left side of the infield. Durbin, everyday player, hitting 174. Ortiz, everyday at shortstop, batting 170. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. Again, Durbin, I'm cutting him some slack. And Ortiz, second-year player, played every day last year, getting the opportunity again this year. He didn't start off the season playing every day last year, but he did this year. They gave him the shortstop role. And I feel like I don't know how long that experiment's going to continue at shortstop for Ortiz, because he's not showing any power, and he certainly can't hit. Okay. Been decent defensively at shortstop. Okay. But Ortiz has got an opportunity right now to show he's an everyday player, an everyday shortstop in the league, and not showing it. I got to continue on with this list. I was going to really go short with this list, but I got a few more names I want to talk about. We'll continue on with that after this timeout. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Monarch Money. I'll tell you, Monarch Money, you want to know where your money's being spent. Let's say you're taking your money and you're throwing it right down the drain, going out to eat too much like we do in this family. I mean, even last night, before the Brewers game, she and I didn't want to cook. We didn't want to spend our money. Monarch Money always tells us, says, hey, this is where you're spending your money. Going to a fast food drive-thru because you don't want to cook. Well, Monarch Money is your personal CFO. Gives you full visibility and control of your finances. It's just not a budgeting app. It's a complete financial center, a command center. With you, whether you're single or you have a family, you can track all your expenses, all your accounts, all your investments, all your spending in one place. It's going to tell you if you eat out too much. It's going to tell you if you spend too much on clothes or your online shopping. Stop just managing your money. Start building some wealth. You'll find some surprising insights when you subscribe to Monarch Money. Right now, with the promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, you get 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, half off your first year. You'll find out exactly where all your money is going with Monarch Money. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen to every day. Everydayers here. We're coming out here on a Wednesday midday. Want to talk more about certain things about this team today. Rather, not so much on the game last night. The Brewers did win. We'll get to that toward the end here. But I'm talking about guys who've got ahead an opportunity. And I mentioned most of the frontline guys who I think some are like Patrick and Mears taking advantage of opportunity. Priester in his last 3 starts. Some aren't taking advantage of opportunities like Ortiz and Caleb Durbin. Andrew Monasterio, 2 years ago, the guy had an opportunity to play every day. And I said at the time, Monasterio is a utility player. Well, I think the Brewers even think less of him right now because he started the year down at AAA. They felt so little of Monasterio right now that Vinny Capra, they stuck with him for a better part of a month and a half until he was demoted down. But Monasterio, one of his last shots right here, he's got a chance to play the role I think he's going to make his bones in, as a major league player if he's going to stick around, and that is a utility guy playing a little shortstop. We saw him at first base last night. Going to play a little second base and do them well. And a guy who's not going to complain at all, but he's 0 for 9 in the spot so far. But this is a guy who's going to have to excel, Monasterio, at being a utility guy, playing a little bit of every position. And when you're counted and when your number gets called, deliver. I'm not saying you got to have 4 hits a game, but you got to be able to deliver. I didn't think he did that last year, although one game he did have an RBI walk-off base hit. And 2 years ago, I thought he was fine. I thought they played him a little bit too much 2 years ago. I don't know why they played him so much when he's clearly a utility guy. But Monasterio 0 for 9. But again, Monasterio, when he gets in there in the spot, he has a chance. He's going to play. The Brewers are really just so handcuffed at third base and short. And I know people are talking about some of the younger guys, bring some of those younger, the Cooper Pratts of the world, Wilkin. I just don't think that the Brewers think that it's their time just yet. Maybe next year, but I don't think it's happening this year. Bowers. Jake Bowers signed a minor league deal with the Brewers in the offseason, started the year at AAA, and so far has been one of their better hitters. He's got 3 home runs. Yeah, he had a little bit of a circus out in left field on Saturday night in left field, but a guy who can play first base, some of the outfield spots. 273 he's batting right now. He's had some big hits, had the big home run in the postseason last year. But Jake Bowers, another guy who has an opportunity here, be it a utility guy or when somebody's hurt, a guy who's going to go in there and play, give you some everyday at-bats. And Jake, I think, is making the most of his opportunity right now. He is what he is. He's never going to be an all-star. All right. I think he's a solid major leaguer. I think he's a guy who could stick around the major leagues. A guy you don't want to start every game. I mean, if you're going to be a contender, Jake Bowers better not be your starting left fielder or your right fielder, with all due respect to the kid, or your starting first baseman, but a utility player. And I think he's done a nice job in that role. 273, has played a lot so far, and he's hit 3 home runs so far. So those are the guys. I covered several of the guys who I thought. One guy who I think, this is an opportunity for himself, and that's Rhys Hoskins. I mean, all these guys are trying to earn opportunities for themselves. But Rhys Hoskins, who's on a contract year, he had a double last night in the 7th inning. Rhys Hoskins, batting in the 280s right now. I didn't expect that from Rhys. The power numbers I wish were there a little bit, but God forbid if the Brewers are a seller in July, and I hope we're not there. Rhys Hoskins would be the guy you'd be selling off on this team, right? He'd be a guy people would want. Rhys, if he keeps this up, stays healthy and keeps this up. Oh, I forgot one other guy, Daz Cameron. He had a nice game a couple of Sundays ago. Gave it a start. Brewers had him in the 2-hole like a week ago. Don't know what that was all about. I don't think that was Murphy just trying to find some sort of combination. But Daz Cameron, at 28 years old, his dad being Mike Cameron shouldn't have anything to do with it. Daz Cameron, the opportunity for him just to continue his major league career right now. He's got an opportunity right then and there. All right. So that's the opportunities. As for last night, Brewers have put together 2 straight wins, 11 hits, struggled with runners in scoring position. But William Contreras has been terrific, I think, especially in the last week. When I say terrific, 230 going into like last week. He's up to like 258 right now. And he raised his batting average 20 points by getting 4 hits, tying his major league high last night. But the thing about Contreras is the guy's going out there and playing with a broken hand. He talked with the media after the game last night about that. Said he wakes up in the morning and his finger is sore. He got stiff because he was sleeping all night, and then he gets up and his finger's sore. And throughout the day, he's working his finger, and it feels a little bit better as we get to game time. That's the guy we're relying on here who's going out there and give it his all, who could very easy say, nah, go on the injured list. I'll take some time off. I'll rehab. I'll think of my future. But this guy's playing through it right now. He could look and say the Brewers are, well, we're 2 games out. We're 5 games out of first place. Maybe I'll take some time on the injured list and get this thing fixed. No, he's going out there and playing every day, catching, DHing. You got to love that about William Contreras. And producing as of late, especially in the last week. I don't know how long he's going to hold out with that finger. I don't know how, and we're not even at Memorial Day yet, and it's bothering the heck out of him. But all I got to say is more power to a guy like William Contreras. Need more guys like that in sports in general. Guy who's going to play through the pain. Guy who's going to play through the pain. Guy who probably should be having that finger fixed and be on the injured list. There's probably guys who've got less injuries than that are on the injured list in Major League Baseball, in sports in general. But William Contreras continues to forge on. Good for him being a team guy here. A couple of other side notes. How about Uribe on the run he's on? 12 outings now without allowing a run, 12 straight outings, 15 Ks over his last 10 innings. Really, really good last night. I mentioned Nick Mears giving up the home run last night, the 3-run blast. But you know what? The offense picked the pitching up. Mears gives it that home run, and then Contreras with the RBI single in the 8th inning. Yeah, Contreras also had the game-winning hit last night as the last of his 4 hits last night. All right, we come back. We'll talk about tonight's starter. Logan Henderson gets his shot again. That's next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And by the way, our podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcasts. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because you great Brewer fans out there. And please set the alert on all these. On all the podcasts, there's an alert you can hit, and it's going to drop, and it's going to tell you when we drop the episode. Dropped it at around noon today here on a Tuesday, a little bit later than normal. Normally I drop it earlier in the morning, but a little bit later on today. Had some things I wanted to research and talk about. So a noon Tuesday start today, but you get us on YouTube as well. Our growing YouTube page. You get us into the Chuck Freeman Locked On Brewer studio with all the memorabilia in the back and all that. So it's always fun being here on YouTube, talking Brewers baseball with you guys every day, and that's what we do. But subscribe to YouTube. You got to sign in, search Locked On Brewers on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Trying to push for 5,000 subs on YouTube. It's been growing, and we started doing this thing with a couple of 100 subs in over 2 years. I'm proud that we've been able to build this up a little bit. Let's see. Oh, Logan Henderson. He's been terrific in his starts so far. And another opportunity. You just hope that I see him as a major league pitcher. I sat behind home plate in his first start against Oakland a couple of weeks ago. I said, this guy's got it. You know, guys who don't have it and guys who do, guys who are major leaguers. Elvin Rodriguez, I saw him pitch on opening day and I said, no. But Logan Henderson, yes. Yeah, he's got major league stuff. He's good. He is really good. And we'll see what he does tonight against the struggling Orioles. Orioles pitching is terrible. Hopefully, you want to take 2 or 3. You got the first one out of the way. But the Brewers, I think it's at some point got to start getting greedy here. We're 5 games behind the Cubs. 5 games chasing 3 teams ahead of us. Cincinnati is 3.5 out. St. Louis, who we all think is going to stumble yet, they're only a game behind the Cubs. They're 27-21. In a rebuilding year for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 6 games over the 500 mark. One more thing. Colton Wong, the former Brewer, announced his retirement. Had 2 solid seasons here, 2021 and 2022. They traded him for Jesse Winker. Trade didn't work out for either team. Wong did not have very good numbers in Seattle. And Winker, we know how that ended here after 1 season. But I remember Colton Wong coming up with the Cardinals 11 years ago, and interviewed him. And I thought, man, what a nice guy. We talked about he's from Hawaii, and the Brewers had a player by the name of Len Sakata in the 70s. And I was talking to Colton about Len Cicada. I said, yeah, I'm friends with him. I know who he is and all that. Colton Wong, like Len Cicada, hailed from the great state of Hawaii. And so I remember my first interaction with Wong about 2015 or so. And we talked about the former Brewer Len Cicada. But yeah, Colton Wong, 2 memorable years here. Wasn't real great defensively. Came here as a guy who had a great glove and maybe not so much offensively, but he put a double-digit home runs here, and I thought really contributed. I was sad to see him go, but that trade did not work out for either team. And Colton Wong, who I thought would have a little longer career, he did have an 11-year career, but Colton Wong announced his retirement. That's going to do it for us today, guys. Hopefully the Brewers can make it 3 in a row and 2 in a row over the Orioles. And we'll talk to you a little bit later on tonight. I'll be down at the game. You see me at the game, please stop and say hello as always. Chuck Freeman, you're on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So long, everybody.